Starting a new vlog and I wanted to film an intro clip. So for this vlog I'm going to be reading The Hunger Games. So me and my brother are watching The Hunger Games for the first time. I watched the first one when I was in high school and I thought it was okay, and I read like half of the first book when I just never finished it. Like, I don't know, I've always been a reader my entire life, but I was reading Wattpad books. That's what that was. And it's crazy because I had a dystopian craze phase, but they were always the movies. Like Divergent was obsessed with, never read the books. The Giver is the only one that like I read the books for, and that was because of middle school. And so I decided I wanted to do a vlog where I finally read The Hunger Games, because watching it as an adult I get it so much more than what I got when I was in high school. Like, I did not care about none of this stuff. I didn't care about politics. I didn't care about like the dystopian world. And it's also like, as like time goes on, you can actually see this stuff happening. Like, I can actually see them, like, I mean, look at the panorama, like, you know. So I decided I wanted to read The Hunger Games for the first time for a vlog. Even though I'm already watching the movies, I personally don't mind. I like to read adaptions after watching the movies for some reason. I like to compare it that way. And so I just thought it would be fun to do this vlog, and I want to start a series where I read books for the first time, because like I want to do one where I read Twilight. Even though I read the first book, I haven't finished it. Yeah, so I want to do like Twilight, I want to do Divergent, I want to do the Selection series. Like, I want to do so many. So I was like, well, why not start this off with The Hunger Games, something quick, easy, fun. So yeah, I just want to film my intro clip, so let's get into it. So I've only read I think it was one chapter of The Hunger Games, and I'm actually liking it so far. When I posted that I was going to be reading this for a vlog, everybody, first of all, everybody was like, no. Like, I'm like, wow, is this what y'all think of me? Like, everybody was saying no because I don't love a good majority of the books I read. I'm like, wow, this is what y'all think of me. But I also think it's very interesting that people like really hold like what they love to their heart, and like if their friends or like people that they admire don't love it, like it like hurts them. And I just find that so interesting, because I'm not that kind of person, and not like in like a, you know, weird superiority complex person, but like I'm not that kind of person. Like, if somebody doesn't like something that I love, I'm like, yay, more for me, period. As long as they're not like shitting on it. So I think it's very interesting to see like people who genuinely, like, not genuinely, but people who are hurt by their faves or their friends not liking something that they loved. I don't know, I find it very intriguing, and not like in a weird condescending way. It's like genuine intrigue. But I'm actually really liking it so far. I love the movies. The second movie, I had fun. I finished all of them. The third movie, I thought it was like really good, but unfortunately the fourth movie I did not love as much. I thought it was very boring. So I'm hoping that the books make up for it. But when I posted I was reading it, Jake, my friend Jake from Jake Does Books, he basically was saying that, like, he was worried I'm not, even though I like the movies, he was worried I wasn't gonna like the books because the books read younger YA. And I don't know, like, I read this book, I read the first book, I read half of the first book. I read it my freshman year, no, my junior year, no, sorry, I read it my sophomore year of high school, so almost 10 years ago. And I still remember that book. Like, I remember the scenes. Like, I got to like when she was at, I want to say right before she went into the Hunger Games, I got there. So I remember all of that stuff. Like, I think about it, like, I think about it over the past few years. I've been thinking about it. So I don't know, like, so technically rereading the first half, I think it's a lot stronger than what I expected. I'm really liking it so far. Like, I don't know, I really like what I liked about the movies. I really like the symbolism, so I'm really excited to read the books. And I'm trying to see if the Hunger Games is that kind of series where you need to read the books to fully understand what's going on in the movies. Because, like, okay, so a lot of things are never explained in the books. I mean, in the movies, it's never explained why they do like this. Which, I mean, I guess it's like, you know, it's a symbol for the Mockingjay, but it's like it's never explained why. And I remember them explaining it in the books, I just don't remember what it was. And they never explain why this all happened. Whereas I want to call her Rue so bad, sorry. Whereas Katniss tells you why it happens. And it was so funny because in the movie I thought that it was just like a way to keep, it's a dystopian, so usually in dystopians it's like trying to keep their population down, or at least that's like what I thought when I was in high school. What I've learned is that, like, because I watched the first movie in high school. So what I learned is I'm a lot smarter than what I was in high school. Okay, I watched that movie at the wrong time. Like a lot of that stuff flew over my head. Like I was not paying attention to any of that stuff. I wasn't really into like dystopians or anything like that until after it came out. So a lot of the stuff like I just would have never gotten, like a lot, like, and it's just like a lot of the stuff just like wasn't even really confusing. It just didn't make a lot of sense because I didn't read the books. Whereas in the books it explains to you like why this is happening. It's happening because, you know, it's called Panem and it's split into 13 I want to say districts, and now there's only 12 districts because there was an uprising, and the Hunger Games are something that kids from 12 to 18 do every year as a punishment for that uprising and to remind them to never try that shit again. Whereas in the movies, I just thought it was just like something that they did because they're like, okay, population's too high, we gotta get some people out of here, let's start with the children. Kind of like how it was in Unwind by Neil Shusterman. I read that book in high school. I loved it. I never finished it, but I loved Unwind. So kind of like with Unwind, where it's like you can basically like abort a child even at the age of 13. So I miss the dystopian era. Like that was, I would watch a dystopian movie, and would I read a dystopian book? No, because I'm gonna do a video series on Divergent next. So I have fun, and I'm hoping this will start a new series where I read a bunch of books for the first time. Before I start, I have terrible heat damage that I'm like very embarrassed about. And I'm very irritated about, because before I like wore my hair curly all the time, I used to straighten my hair all the time, and like my hair was like never damaged. And now that like it's the opposite, where I always wear my hair curly, like I straightened my hair 2 months ago, and look at my heat damage. Just so, anyways, okay, so I finished the Hunger Games. I gave it 4 stars. So to everybody who was scared that I wasn't gonna like it, you can suck it. It was really fun, and like that's what I needed. Like I needed something like really fun to read, because a lot of the books that I've been reading recently, like the past like March and February, were just not fun. They felt dreadful. Like I just read the Greenbow Saga, and it was entertaining, but like fun, you know. So I really like Katniss as a character. I thought she was like really funny at times. She was like very morbid, like when the cat was introduced, like she was just like very morbid about the cat, and I really liked that. Like she had a lot of personality. Whereas in the movies, I think with book to movie adaptations, they forget to like give the main characters personalities. And I'm not saying that like I didn't like Katniss or anything, but I just really enjoyed reading her from the like in the book, because like I don't know, I feel like they're just so focused on making like a blockbuster or making a movie that they don't focus on like, hey, like let's make these characters likable. Because like even with Peeta, like I did not understand why everybody loved Peeta so much. Like not that I hate him or anything, like I thought he was a good character, but I'm like, okay, people really ride for Peeta. So it's like, what is it about Peeta that people are like riding and dying for, you know? Whereas in the books it makes so much more sense. And like I don't know, like I like that they made Peeta a wrestler in the books, because like in the movies, I mean it's in the nicest way possible, but he was useless. Like okay, he could throw someone over his shoulders, like he could throw like a big pound of flour over his shoulders or whatever, but I don't know, it really didn't mean anything, because it was like I don't know, like it just him being able to fight just, I don't know, adds so much more to his character and doesn't make him like someone that Katniss is always protecting, because that's kind of how I seen him in the movies, just somebody that Katniss was just always protecting and fighting for. And like even with their love, like it didn't really make sense to me in the movies, because I don't know, it just felt forced, whereas like in the books it just made a little bit more sense to me. But yeah, I really like reading the book. There's not a lot of things changed. There's like minor things changed, and I really appreciate that. I think that's what makes the Hunger Games like one of the best like book to movie adaptations, because of the fact that they didn't change like too much and they didn't get crazy. And I think a good director is somebody who knows like what to change in a book to movie adaptation, like if you should change anything. And unfortunately like with book to movie adaptations, like there's things that has to be changed, especially when it like is a movie. Because like I feel like if it's a book to TV show, like there's really nothing you should be changing. But like a book to movie, it makes a lot more sense because it's like you have to cut things for time or whatever. And they added a lot more aspects in the Hunger Games. Like they added like they added the POVs of like the people in the Capitol, like how it was working, like doing the stuff for the Hunger Games. Like that makes a lot of sense to me. um so yeah, I really liked it. I am going to be reading, obviously for the vlog, I'm going to be reading the rest of the series. But I just watched The School for Good and Evil and I had so much fun. So I'm going to try to read the book for that because I really, like, I don't think that it's going to get a sequel. A lot of people hated the movie. I give the movie 4 stars because I thought it was like really fun. Like if I was a kid, first of all, I liked it as an adult. But if I was a kid, like that movie would have been my favorite movie. So I am gonna read the rest because I want to know how the story turns out. I ship Agatha and Tetros, I think his name is, so bad, so bad. I also ship Sophie and Hook's son, Captain Hook's son, so bad. So I'm gonna be taking a break from the Hunger Games to see if I want to read The School for Good and Evil because it is a middle grade, well, like YA, you know, kind of book. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna like it. So I'm just gonna give it a try. But yeah, I'll be back with my updates for Catching Fire, which I'm really excited for because I love that movie. Like, I love that movie down. Oh, it's 5 p.m. and the sun is still up. The sun is shining. Okay? Like, whoa. Kind of living my best life right now. Now, if only it could stop snowing because I think it's spring. I'm delusional. I've been trying to be like, yeah, it's spring, it's spring. It's been pretty decently warm outside. I don't leave the house, so it's easy for me to be like, it's spring. So it's decently warm outside, but it keeps snowing. So it's like, But anyways, okay. So I'm reading Catching Fire. I'm at the part where they take the tours, and when I watched Catching Fire the movie, I loved it. It was my favorite movie in the franchise so far. Or so far I finished the franchise, but it was my favorite movie in the franchise. But I forgot how boring the beginning is. Like when they start doing like the games, I was gagged. It was gaggery town from then on. But I forgot that the beginning, the tours, didn't care about it. What I do find interesting is that like, I don't know, I'm not like, I don't understand how like people used to ship Katniss and Peeta down, and I'm like, how? Like Katniss is a pretty decent like written character. I think she's very funny written in the books. Like, I mean, funny to me, I guess a lot of people won't find her funny, but I find her like very like deadpan, morbid. I like that kind of stuff. And then Peeta, I find Peeta like very sweet and like he sticks up for himself, and like I don't know how to explain it, but I think in the movies they make Peeta just such a soft boy, and I love a soft boy. And he is a soft boy, but they make him weak, if that makes sense, in the movies. Whereas in the books, he's so much more of a stronger character. He states his opinion on it. I'm not saying he didn't in the movies, but I don't know. It was just something slightly off. But the romance between Katniss and Peeta is not there. Like, it's like I'm not convinced that they're in love with each other, and it's like because of the way that Suzanne Collins wrote it, it's like they kind of were it's kind of like a fake dating, if you will. They like pretend to be in love with each other and like they fall in love during it, but I'm not seeing that. And then she also keeps, I think she like kissed Gail in the beginning or something. She keeps kissing Gail or Peeta, and it's like, I don't know. Also, I don't hate Gale. I don't love Gale. I'm not saying that. But, like, I know the girls hate Gale and they want him dead. And I think in the movies, like, he wasn't that bad. Like, y'all were definitely doing too much. But I think I'm going to read Mockingjay before I make a full opinion. But I don't think Gale was that bad. I just think a lot of y'all hated Gale when y'all were teenagers. And y'all carry that hate until y'all are adults. In reality, he's not. He's just annoying. But y'all was acting like Gale betrayed somebody or something. So I'm trying to read Mockingjay before I fully form my opinion. Which I'm not excited to read Mockingjay. I'm so sorry, but like the movies were so boring, and I realized what I liked about the like Hunger Games and what I like about Catching Fire is the fact that the games, like I love the game aspect, and obviously they couldn't do that in the last one. It had to be like war and revolution and things like that, but it's just like I didn't care about any of that shit they had going on. So I am not excited to read Mockingjay, but I'm, you know, I'm just trying to get through Catching Fire because I want to get to the part where they're doing the games, and I feel like that's gonna take a while to get there because I'm only on like chapter like 5 or something. I couldn't tell you what page I'm on because I'm reading these on Kindle Unlimited. If anybody was wondering, these are on there for free as long as you have Kindle Unlimited. And for some reason, it's saying the book is 100 pages, even though I know the book is 300 pages. But it's saying the book is 100 pages. So that means every like 3 pages is being counted as every 3 pages is being counted as 1 page, and it's pissing me off because I don't know exactly where I am in the book, and I don't own them physically. So we just love that. But yeah, I suck at reading series because I'm just like, okay, I'm ready to get this over with. Like, I could be having a fun time. Like, I like Catching Fire. I like the Hunger Games books. Like, I like the way that they're written. I really like the symbolism in the books and just the way that like the characters are written, and I really like reading how people, like the thoughts that people have behind it. Like when I was watching the movies, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to read this and see what Katniss was thinking in this moment, or read it and see what Peter, like what Katniss was thinking when this happened to Peter. Like, I love those moments when I'm reading. But for some reason when I'm reading a series, I'm like, I want to be done because I want to read something else now. I want to read Warbreaker. And it's not that I can't, but I trying this thing where I read a series in one go, because I have a habit of either reading the first or second book and not reading the last book if it's a trilogy. Like, I suck at trilogies. Duologies, yes. Trilogies, anything more than trilogies, no. So this year I'm working on getting better at reading series. So until I learn how to read all books in series, I have to read them all in one go. And I already broke my rule because I stopped reading the Hunger Games to read The School for Good and Evil, and I didn't want to pick the Hunger Games back up. Okay, so usually when I film these clips, I like get out of bed and then I come sit in the chair and I'm like, okay, blah blah blah. But today right now I was actually already sitting here. I'm watching Shameless, or rewatching. Me and my brother are doing like this weird rewatch where like he's rewatching and I'm rewatching together. Well, he's watching for the first time and I'm rewatching, and we're watching it together but separately. I don't know. But yeah, I've been working on trying to get out of my bed a lot more. So like this past month I've been doing so good at it. Like, I usually spend all day in like the living room, and then I like go to sleep in my room. But I've been like out of my room like all week. So today I decided I still want to be in my room, but I want to lay in my bed a lot less, because like with being like depressed, it's so hard to get out of bed, or like once I'm in bed it's hard to get out, and I feel like, I don't know, like I just feel like shit laying in my bed all day, and like I don't know, I don't want to feel like that. So I'm trying to like be out of my bed a lot more. Oh my gosh, and it's so much worse when somebody points it out. Like, I remember when I used to vlog, and I used to vlog from my bed, and someone was like, yeah, you vlog from your bed a lot. So I just stopped. Like, I never vlog from my bed again. So I like will get out of my bed just to vlog. I hate when people like, I know that like people don't mean it with like malice, but I hate when people point things out in your videos, and like in a sense of like, it's very clear that this person is mentally ill and you're pointing it out. Like, I remember someone pointed out that my top bunk was messy, and I'm like, yeah, I'm depressed, but also the top bunk is storage. Like, there's just a bunch of shit up there. Also, I've been meaning to clean it out because Apple, she loves it up there. She just went up there. I don't know if that got caught on camera, but Apple loves it up there. So I might clean it off for her. But also, it's like there's a lot of blankets up there, so she doesn't have to like lay on anything. Like, everything's like comfortable up there for her. But I use a lot of storage because I have a lot of stuff. But I remember when somebody pointed out that like it was messy up there, I was like, yeah, no one sleeps up there. It's just storage. I'm depressed. Thank you. So yeah, I hate when people like point things out. So when I record, I try to like be perfect, I guess, or as perfect as I can get, because I don't want people to point things out, because I'm depressed and I hate when people point it out. But anyway, nobody cares about any of that. I'm so sorry. But I am 65% into the Hunger Games, and I finally got to the part where they're about the Hunger Games, sorry, Catching Fire, and I finally got to the part where they're about to enter the games. I'm very, very excited. Leading up to it was boring, but I'm not gonna lie, reading, like when Caesar was interviewing Peeta and he was like, yeah, Katniss pregnant, it still was gaggery. It was gaggery just like when I saw it in the movie. It was just even more gaggery, like reading about it. So I'm very excited to read about the games. I'm very excited for the scene where, I don't remember her name, but she just kept going like tick-tock, and they realized that it was a clock because somebody said like the written scene was even better than what it was like in the movie, and like that was just so gaggery. Like that was just so gaggery. And then I never seen them when I hadn't seen the movies. I saw the tweet and I was like, okay guys, like what the fuck are y'all talking about? Because somebody tweeted and was like, this was like the shocking moment of like this or whatever, and it was a scene where you realize it's all like a clock. So I'm like, what the fuck are y'all talking about? Like, what are we looking at? And so when I finally seen the scene, I was like, oh, I get it. And I went back to the tweet and I was like, I get it. But I'm really excited to read about it now. I want to finish Catching Fire, and then I want to start writing. I want to finish Catching Fire, start a little bit of Mockingjay, and then start writing a little bit of my book that I'm working on. Yeah, that's about it. But anyways, yeah, that's it for this clip. I just want to you know, film about it. I want to film about it halfway through and not just come back when I was done. So okay, so I just finished Catching Fire and I gave it 4 stars. I kind of almost at first wanted to give it 4.5 stars, but she don't deserve that now, come on. So I thought that Catching Fire was really boring, unfortunately. I think that the movie was a lot better than the book. I feel like the movie really, I don't know, the movies really get to the point. Like they do like in the beginning of the movie they did like, okay, we're gonna go on the tour and then we're gonna do like the Hunger Games, like the 45th Hunger Game like thing that they do, and then we're gonna actually get into the Hunger Games. Whereas in the book, you don't even get into like the Hunger Games until I want to say 50% through the book, a little bit over it, and I was kind of just like, okay, this is not fun. And then when I got to the Hunger Games part, I don't know, I think maybe this book probably would have been better to experience if I would have read this before the movie. I still liked it, but I think I would have loved it if I would have read it before the movie. And like I still like, because of the movie, I love it, but I hope someone gets what I'm saying. But it's just like, I don't know, it's just like really boring, and it like didn't really highlight any of the things that I thought the Hunger Games like was fun for. And yeah, I'm gonna start Mockingjay now, and I'm actually not very excited for that because I know I'm gonna find this book so boring. And I really hope that I don't just pop in and be like, yeah, I finished the book, here are my thoughts, because I tend to do that a lot. But yeah, so overall I thought that the book was okay. Oh, also the TikTok part, like, I don't know, I just imagine it like so much better in my head, and like, so when I finally read the scene, I was like, oh, that was it. Like, I don't know, the way that everyone was talking about on Twitter, they was like, yeah, and in the book like this happened and blah blah blah, and like I'm reading it and I'm like, so where's the fun stuff? Where's the stuff that everybody said was gonna be fun? So yeah, so I'm gonna be reading Mockingjay now, and then I can finally be done with this vlog, and then I can finally read what I want to read. And it's like, it's not that I'm not having fun reading this series, I just suck at reading series, and I'm always wanting to read the next thing. I'm always wanting to move on to something. I always want to read something else. I want to jump into the next series or the next book or the next book on my TBR. I made this tweet yesterday and I was like, oh, some of y'all, damn, what I say? I think the most sad death in Hunger Games is actually Cena, but nobody cares because he's not fitting. And so many people were like, I cried when Cena died. Like, yeah, like Cena's death was so sad. And I'm like, some of y'all are lying, because before I started watching the Hunger Games, when people would talk about the Hunger Games, people would be like, Finnick death this and Finnick's death that and Finnick this and Finnick that. Like, everybody only talked about Finnick. Like, I never even knew Cena was a fucking character, okay? Before I watched the Hunger Games, I knew the characters were Katniss, Peeta. I almost called them penis. Katniss, Peeta, President Snow, Finnick, Joanna. These are the characters that I knew existed before. And what do they all have in common? They're white. I love Cena. Like, I love his character. And I think the fact that he's played by Lenny Kravitz is absolutely perfect. But we all know why people don't care about Cena, and people are trying to pretend like they cared about Cena. But no, when people talk about the Hunger Games, all people ever do is cry about Finnick. Like, let's be fucking honest here for once, okay? I read 100 pages of the book before I went to bed last night, and I don't know. The first half, it is interesting. And like, I like that it's one book. I think that movie companies need to stop making their last movies like 2-part movies, because I think the Hunger Games didn't need to do that. Like, I think with Harry Potter that made sense because it was a really big book. I think with Twilight that made sense because it was a really big book. The Mockingjay book was only like just under 400 pages. I just don't think that I needed to do all of that. Like, I really don't believe that. Damn, I'm fucking this shit up. They did not give us any straws. So I just don't think that Mockingjay needed to be 2 parts, because I think, okay, so the first movie, I thought the first movie was really good. The first half was like really good, but the last half was really boring. I thought that Mockingjay Part 2, the first half was so fucking boring, and then the ending, the last 40 minutes were really good. And I feel like in the book it's gonna translate a lot better. So I think like the middle part is gonna be boring, but the beginning is actually pretty interesting. It's not like amazing or good or anything, but it's pretty interesting. And then the ending, I know it's probably gonna be interesting. So I think I'm probably gonna rate this book 4 stars as well, just based off of that. But I think that the movies actually made a wrong choice with splitting the movies in half, and that's simply because every like final film gets 2 parts for some fucking reason. I don't know why, because some of them don't deserve 2 parts. That's why we never got Divergent Part 2 or whatever. I don't remember, actually. I don't remember what Divergent movies we didn't get, because I've only seen the first Divergent movies, even though I was fucking obsessed with the first Divergent movie. Like, I watched that movie over and over and over. Theo James really did it for me, okay? Plus Zoe Kravitz was in it. I was obsessed with her at the time. You know how that go. I'm probably gonna finish the book real fast, and then I'll be back. And hopefully while the sun is up, I can take me a thumbnail. Warning, I'm probably going to sound and look hella sad because my hair is damaged, and it just makes me really sad. And I tried this protein treatment, and for some reason I feel like it's fixed my hair, but also some of it is just like really damaged, and I wasn't really aware. And now my hair is gonna dry like looking weird, or I don't know. I'm just really frustrated, and I'm really upset that I straightened my hair that last time, especially because I only straightened it. It was only straight for a week, so I didn't even get anything out of it. I'm really frustrated with myself and my hair, but whatever. So yeah, I finished Mockingjay. I gave it 4 stars. I'm not gonna lie, I only gave it 4 stars because I noticed that it released on my birthday, because originally I was gonna give it 3.5 stars, because it's basically how I thought it was gonna go. Like, the first half was like really good, the middle was like really boring, and then the end was good, but like not really. And then the epilogue, I didn't really like the epilogue. Like, I also didn't like the ending in the movie either. I just don't like that but I think I like the epilogue a lot worse, because in that it stated that Katniss didn't even want kids, and she only had kids because Peeta wanted kids. And I just think that like that's really unfair, and like obviously this is written in like 2014 or something, so nobody ever really discussed this. But I think having characters have kids for the sake of like this is their happily ever after is so bogus, because it's like women don't need to have kids to like have their happy ending, especially because Katniss didn't want to have kids, and it's very clear because of the trauma of what the Hunger Games was, and like maybe it could also be fear of it coming back, or fear of things like that happening to your children. Or I completely understand her not wanting to have children, and I really wish, honestly, I wish that they didn't have children in the end, because I don't think that like you need to have kids to be happy. And I feel like that was a message that the book was kind of sending us unintentionally, and I just didn't really like that. And at least in the movie, it like, I think the line that really messed me up was when Katniss said that she didn't want to have kids, but Peeta wanted to, and then the fear of like how it felt like of like being pregnant or something, and that wasn't mentioned in the movie, and so I feel like it was a little bit more okay. But even when I watched the movie, I really wasn't fucking with it, because I'm like, this didn't really need to be said, honestly. This, like, they didn't really, I didn't need to really see them having kids. I don't know. So having kids does not signify a happy ending, but whatever. Yeah, so I just thought the book was okay. I think my favorite part about the series is the games. I realized that, and so once they were done with the games, I was kind of like, this is boring. Like, I don't know, like, I find like books about war, like, I find it interesting, and I like dystopians for that reason, but I think the Hunger Games was like really unique, and I really wish that it would have focused on that uniqueness and maybe found a unique way to like end the games or something, like, but also to still include the games in the last book, or even make the last book seem a little bit more like the games in some way. But yeah, that's it for this vlog. I had a lot of fun. It was really fun reading this series. It was the most fun I've had like in a while, especially reading books, because like usually they're just like so boring, or I just don't feel like it. So yeah, I had a lot of fun. But yeah, I'm going to be ending this vlog. I hope that you liked it. I'll be doing some more like Twilight, and maybe the selection series if I hate myself enough. Maybe I'll read like the first book. I don't think I'm gonna read the whole series. But yeah, if you want to see me reading more popular books for the first time, then I'll be happy to do that, because I used to read, like, I've been reading since I learned how to read in the 2nd grade, and I don't know what the fuck I was reading. I was reading Wattpad books. That's what I was reading. Like, I was not reading like Hunger Games, Twilight, none of that. The only time that I stopped, like, I took a break from Wattpad books was to read like Giant Green or To All the Boys I Loved Before, but that was about it. Like, I never really read all these books, so I didn't really read like none of these popular books until I joined BookTube, just because I was reading Wattpad. Okay, I was reading like bad boy good girl stories, like trying to like live my like high school dream through those, or like I was trying to read like fan fictions or whatever, but I was not trying to read like the Hunger Games or anything. I love the movies, like I love Divergent, I loved The Maze Runner. I remember I tried to read The Maze Runner in high school too. I was not fucking with it. I was not fucking with it. Yeah, like I was reading like The Duff. Oh my gosh, The Duff, because The Duff was like, ugh, I love that. But yeah, so I didn't read, but I don't know. I didn't really like read dystopians, even though like in the 6th grade I read the Giver, and I love The Giver and I love dystopians, but I just didn't really read them for some reason. I don't really know. So now catching up, it's fun, I think, reading them as an adult, and I feel like, I don't know, I don't feel like I missed out on anything. I think that's also why I didn't want to read these for so long, because I felt like maybe I was like missing out on something, but I don't feel like I was missing out. I feel like I don't think I would have liked to read I tried to read the Hunger Games when I was in 9th grade, and I didn't really make it that far, because I was not, like, I'm sorry, I was not trying to read books like the Hunger Games. I was trying to read like John Green, To All the Boys I Loved Before, like, actually I was trying to read John Green's discography. Like, let's be real, I was trying to read his discography, to be honest. So I wasn't really trying to read the Hunger Games, like, even though I like the movies. I don't know, I didn't really get into fantasy until I joined BookTube in 2017. So, which, like, fantasy is one of my favorite genres now, and I can barely read, like, I read contemporary, but like, I don't know, fantasy is like one of my favorite genres now. Like, that's like my favorite genre to read. But yeah, anyways, that's it for this vlog. So let me know which ones you want to see me do for the first time, and yeah.